Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you.
What's up, Singapore?
Singapore, Ghana, Estonia. Welcome to the 244th Recovery Love Freedom Rising podcast. A new name, some new logos, but my main men right here. I'm Milan Starcic, and these are my co-hosts, Andrew Normand and J.J. That's right. And today's topic is honesty. And we may talk a little bit about sponsorship only because I flipped it on JJ yesterday, and I'm just like, well, I've got nothing to lose by talking about both. But yeah, so Andrew, would you share what this means to you and why you're happy to discuss this here today, brother?
I would love to. Yeah, flipping the script on him, JJ. Flipping the script on him, buddy. I love you. I love you so much. And I heard this what's in Singapore, there's it's like a slang term, not slang, but it's like keep coming back, la. There's like a lot when they say la, it's like a keep coming back. It works if you work it kind of thing. So keep coming back, la. That's their thing. All right, cool, man. So what honesty, man, this is kind of where this whole thing breaks open for me. You know, it's that, they talk about the how of our program, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness being the how of our program. Means it's very, very important. If we're not being honest here, JJ, we're playing a video game. What are we even doing if we're not being honest? Got to start with honesty. And before I got here, bro, honesty was not a principle. It was a tool, and I didn't use it to build anything. I used it to manage my perception. And so the truth, I told the truth whenever it benefited me. I lied when it protected me. I justified everything in between. I was a walking, breathing pot of deception, if you will, right? But the deeper, you want deeper truth. I wasn't lying to other people. I was lying to myself. And at all levels, and those lies became my reality, and that's a scary place to be for an addict. And I'm lucky I made it out alive. But I didn't call it dishonesty before I got here. I called it keeping the peace, handling my business. It was just the next order of business for me. And I minimized absolutely everything. I rationalized everything. I would compare my situation to someone worse than me so I could feel better about wherever I was at that point. I lived in that gray area that we talk about, right? I felt like I was never technically lying because I was never fully telling the truth either. Right? I really wasn't standing on either side of the other, right? And so it was such a distorted way of life that I was living coming into this place. And y'all told me that I had to get honest. We talk about rigorous honesty, and that's where things got real for me. Being real with where I am emotionally, being uncomfortable in these situations, and being honest with the people that I love and I've chosen to surround myself with. Now, it's such an important part of this thing. If we're not being honest, there's nobody that's going to be able to help us out at all. We can start this thing anywhere you want, but if you're not honest coming into it, you're not going to we can't help you. We can't help you. So, being honest is where this whole thing starts. If I'm not being honest, why am I even opening my mouth? I'm just wasting time. If I'm lying, and then we talk about what do they say? Half truths, which is it's just a lie wrapped up in recovery language, right? That's one of those things we talked about a couple of podcasts ago. So I'm not going to sink it in too much. This is a big one. I mean, we can go anywhere with it, but being honest with ourselves allows recovery to begin. But you got to be honest, though. Got to be honest and tell us where you're at. Love you, JJ. Where you at? Talk to us about some honesty, man.
Oh, man, I love you guys. I love you both. I'm JJ, and I'm an addict. And the truth is that I didn't use today, and it's given me a life that I hope for, and one that I didn't realize that I dream about. And yeah, in order to be here, I had to get honest. The literature points out that coming to this point is the first time I was honest with myself for years and years, admitting the fact that that I had the disease of addiction, that I was an addict. Um, so it's critical. And, as Andrew said, uh, I couldn't live the life I was living um, without painting it differently than really what it was, dressing it up. The justification and rationalization to do the things that I did was because I had to. I didn't have a choice. Um, so coming here, our very first step says to admit, and I will wear this out, man. This freaking the definition of admit at the Collegiate Dictionary when I looked it up says to confess the truth. And then there's a
Mm.
comma that says, often with reluctance. And that's the reason that I was in my addiction for so long. That's where denial will lurk. That's where it's back on my own creative freaking ability to manipulate the factors of life to where it looks good. And really, it just needs to look good to me, enough for me to buy my own bullshit to then do my very best job to sell you on it. And it's amazing that when the system is set up on a lie, but you don't even know it. This is the adventure of this life for me, is to continue to download information and determine, what's true and what isn't. And that's what we're here to discuss, man. Uh, but the whole point of being honest, and it starts with me being honest with myself, and that's the difficult thing. Um, I have to search me out, and so much is based on feelings, right? Um, how I feel about life, how which involves fear and guilt, and uh, the response, the reaction I have to my own actions, and I want to make them feel better, and it's a process, bro. It's a process, and I'm so grateful because getting to a point where living life with the truth that I was deciding what was the truth. I've come to a point that I really have to search what it is, um, and that is through this process of inventory. Two inventory steps that I look at myself and I have to be honest with myself. Andrew said it, um, but it's a process of becoming honest, and I know that's why I'm here. As my faith grows in this program, as my faith grows in the people around me, as my faith grows in my ability to be honest with myself. And self-centered fear is what steps forward and says, "Oh, can't tell that." So we'll keep learning. Thanks for letting me share.
Love you, JJ.
Love you, JJ. Woo, man, you guys sure fired that up right away in a great way. Got my brain swirling. It was like I had some real ideas of what I was going to say, and then once I hear you guys talking, I'm like, where the hell am I? What's going on? Or like, I just go on a journey sometimes, and But the thing about honesty, right? Before I had my program, um, my main problem was a perception issue, right? And that perception issue kept me sick. Like it allowed me to just not really, first of all, had no tools. I'll admit that, like I'll give myself some grace of saying without tools, I just bent my version of reality to be able to blame and externalize all the pain in my life instead of taking any responsibility for it. And that that was, just a fundamental dishonesty to myself. And, when they talk about rigorous honesty in the book, right? The AA book. And it's, kind of now moving to a willingness, a foundational willingness inside me to see and state things as they actually are instead of how I want them to be. Or like, even just not even being lazy. Like sometimes, the that what is it, the sloth in us, right? Is just as guilty on skewing our perception of reality. Like if we don't investigate stuff, then we can just buy things at whatever picture we want to stop and take it for a second. But when you go to an AA meeting, you read the how it works, and right at the part where they say, people who do not recover are people who cannot and will not be honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates, right? Like,
Yep.
the first thing um, is about reservations, right? Like, are you still holding on to some excuses, or just being contrary to step one in some form or another, that admission of powerlessness, you know, like nobody, I love it in the 12 by 12 where they say, nobody who wants to admit complete defeat,
Right, right, right.
you know,
Yep.
and that takes a lot of honesty and courage right at the start to say, I'm beat, and it took me 17 and a half years. Out of 37 and a half years, 17 and a half were me struggling to have my own power, you know. But I also, just before I finish up here, I want to say that lack of honesty keeps us from the purity, like purity, honesty, selfishness, loving, like unselfishness, loving, like those are the four absolutes. And if we're not clearing out and being pure, we're never going to connect to our higher power. And then we're still cut off from the power that could help us save our lives, right? Lack of power was our problem. And I'm going to leave that there. I know we're going to have great questions. I'm grateful to be here with you guys today. My heart is warm to see my brothers on the screen.
Love you so much, and I love that this podcast has a layer of love in the name to it now. What do you think about that, JJ?
Recovery
That's
love.
what it's all about, man.
We're and
It's,
we're
it's
we're
the power.
branching out. We're branching out, baby. We're branching
Growing up.
out.
We're
Bring it.
growing
Bring
up.
that love. You got some love in you. You got some love going on. You better bring it. You better
Yeah.
bring it.
And there's no better freedom than the freedom of that love
Ah,
fills your heart.
doesn't lose. It doesn't lose. It's as free as we'll ever be. So are you ready for this question, JJ?
Yes.
Where in my life, where in your life are you still being partially honest? And what is that costing you?
Where in my
Where
life?
in your life are you being partially honest? And what is that costing you?
So you're asking me where in my life am I being partially dishonest?
The question, yes, that same question.
It is the same question. And that's where the rubber meets the road, man. And I have to check my fears, what am I afraid of that I can't admit the truth? What am I trying to manipulate? Um, and I would say in my relationships, um, the difficulty. I was talking with the brother earlier this morning about the relationship with my son and the ability to be honest with him as we negotiate uh, how to grow and how to share, ideas of life. And when he rebels, which am, I anticipate, I receive the rebellion, I understand it. What part of me is rebelling today?
Never prepared. Always anticipate. Never prepared, though.
Man, it's
I meant like all of us in general. It's just
well, the fears that what keeps me from being honest with myself is self-centered fear. Is I'm not sure of the consequence of being straight up honest. It's like, boy, if you don't begin to do things that occur to me that I need to happen, again, I have to check my self-centeredness. It is a lot of work, it ends up involving empathy. It ends up taking myself um, seriously for what the potential is. Um, so self-will is what makes it difficult because I continue to think I got to figure it out instead of really asking God for guidance and realizing um, that I have to set certain boundaries, um, and then uh, leave the rest to God. And whether He gets angry and moves out, that's a consequence. Whether He just gets angry and stays, I hope and wish the best for him, um, and trying to impart that. So that's uh, my other most intimate relationships. Uh, the fear that it won't last forever. Is a point of being honest and accepting life on life's terms. That nothing lasts forever. Um, So it's interesting, at this point in my life, man, I am so grateful for the gifts, the ability to to search for what the truth is, because it's what sets us free. When I quit rebelling against, I love it, it's our third step teaching. We quit rebelling against the natural and logical flow of events, which is God's will. Um, So if my actions are motivated in love, that's really the kingpin of power and righteous energy. Uh, and then I can lay out whatever truth needs to be laid out. And if that's its source, then that's what I'll be left with. So um, self-centeredness, fear, that's what keeps me from being honest. I love you guys.
Hmm. I love you,
Love you,
JJ. Are
JJ.
you trying to tell me that we can't manipulate what God can orchestrate right here? Is that what you're trying to tell
I'm trying to embrace the truth in that, my bro. I love
me?
you, man. That's right.
Milan, I have a question for you, bro.
Okay, I'm ready.
Where in your life are you still being partially honest, and what is that costing you?
Woo. The first one that comes to my mind is, and it comes to my mind because it's just like a regular fluctuation. Is coping with like work anxieties, and for myself, by the last 6 to 12 months of my using, it was crippling. It was crippling. Like I just felt so much conflict and pressure all the time from every situation. It was. I like I said earlier about like externalizing all that, right? Like I felt like the victim all the time. Instead of being grateful for anything, I was just sitting in a pity party. And now I feel that it's like I've got like about a 90-10 with it, where 90% of the time I'm really good at putting that impending crunch moment, that stressful resolution coming up, because in my job, there's quite often unforeseen problems, like somebody could find asbestos in a roof. The owner may not have known. These people still want to buy the house. These people still want to sell the house. But do these people want to buy a house with asbestos? Like these are like real health concerns and real problems for them. And, now I'm able to mostly compartmentalize it, but it comes down to like 1 hour out of all those hours of dealing with it where I still find myself having to go for a walk, having to pray for some guidance, having to find some way to let the pressure off the pot, because it just feels like at some points I've gotten nowhere to go. inside myself. And so it's, you know, it's kind of getting more of that trust. And every single time it has happened in the last 3 months, it has been unfounded. And I'm like, you know, if my higher power is not sending me a message about the uselessness of worry, you know, like I can only be blind and deaf for so long before I'm like, you know, before faith and trust steps into it. And you know, it's really easy to have faith and trust when everything's going great. But when it's like, you know, your family's food and mortgage payment is based on that check from that, that's the real test of faith. You know, it's like cherry picking service. If I'm doing what I like all the time, is it really service at all? And if I'm only faithful when it's fucking rocking, is that faith, you know? And so for me, you know, it's about being honest that I have that faith and that trust. And that's the honesty where it's like it is developing, but is it bulletproof? No, it's not yet. And you know, and I can see that as the signpost and the direction that, you know, my program needs to go. But I'm working on it. And I love you guys.
I love you more. I
Love you,
love you
bro.
more. Both of y'all just had some beautiful answers. I'm just sitting. I kind of had what I was gonna say too, and then you just kind of like, I have no idea what I wanted to say anymore. I love you too, Milan and JJ. So I'm gonna answer this. Where in my life am I still being partially honest or partially dishonest, and what is that costing me? Yeah, man. As I really like I deep dive into this question in my head. You know, partial dishonesty isn't about like, it's not like about outright lying for me anymore. And this is where it gets really, really tricky for me.
Mhm.
Like what I'll do is I'll withhold like information, or like I'll soften the blow, or like I'll edit a situation just enough, or you know, edit that truth just enough to to stay comfortable. Um, and I don't, and then I'll not see that as dishonesty, right? Like, and that's where it's real dangerous, because like it doesn't feel like dishonesty. Are y'all with me? Like when you
100%.
when you change just a little bit of the narrative, just because like in the long run your mind thinks it's going to be a little better for you that way. That can get really sticky. And how that what it feels like is like, you know, I just don't want to make this a big deal, right? You know, it's not worth bringing it up when it really is. You know, I'll deal with it on my own when I really could use a little bit of help. You know, they don't need to see all the details, but they do.
Hmm.
That's what it looks like, man. And those things can layer onto each other. And when I slow down and I really look at it, like there's a few areas in my life where this happens on a consistent basis. Um, a couple of them just right off the top, like that whole like I'm good thing. I'm good. I'm good. I don't even need to say anything else other than that. Y'all already know the narrative on that. Like when I'm really off and I'm like just and I just tell you I'm a little bit off, that whole I'm good thing, like that thing is tough. And I'll get caught in that shit quick. Just because I don't want to have the conversation. That's like as simple as that. I just don't want to have the conversation. Because and like being honest about that situation requires me to be vulnerable. And I don't like that feeling all the time, right? Like I've got to train myself to be there, and it feels really risky. You know, I don't like risk anymore. You know, I'm out of that whole risk game. And so as I bring it home, like internal honesty, like I tell myself a lot of stories, JJ.
Hmm.
There's a lot of narratives going on in here. You know, most of them are not real. You know, but I'll minimize shit. You know, thinking that like minimizing how something's affecting me, maybe. um you know, I'll justify behavior that like I wouldn't accept from anybody else, but I'll justify it for myself, right? We do a lot of that, guys. I don't care who you are, we do a lot of that. It's just it's just there's levels to that, right? And so, you know, bro, and I do this a lot. I'll tell myself it's not like that serious when deep down in my heart, bro, I know it is. Like I know it's serious. And then it's like I'll just wait till like I got like it shit breaks until I gotta act. And this is like one of my biggest ones. Like difficult conversations. Like I'll avoid a difficult conversation, and then it'll be like disguised as peace as a peaceful moment for that moment, for like that area of time when it's not. Are you with me?
Mhm.
Where you avoid that conversation, then you're like, bro, like everything's cool. What's up? What's going on? What's up? How would you eat for breakfast? Like just everything's good. When all I need to do is have a little simple conversation because I'm just in my head. I'm wrapped up. Half my brain's selling that fucking bullshit. The other half is buying it. Right. So that's where I gotta stay tapped in with you guys. If I didn't ask this question, I wouldn't even be able to draw a little more awareness on those things that I'm having a problem with. So love you guys.
Yeah, I love you, bro.
Lots.
100%.
JJ, you got a question for me?
Oh yeah. JJ.
Yeah, I got a question. This is beautiful though, man. You know, yeah, I got a question that says, what is necessary to move from denial into the truth?
Woo.
Ooh.
When
From
Ooh.
denial into the truth.
where you don't know you're lying. And so what
I
is
don't even
necessary
notice.
to
Okay,
move
so I
from
would say
denial?
that you need to have some honesty. You know, you need to at least figure out how to start being honest with yourself. You need to have a willingness to change. You know, inside that, you need to be able. I need to. For me, I needed to be willing to walk through that fire of shame and shit that it feels like to actually see how big of a freaking liar I was. You know, um, and I needed to have an open mind. I needed to have a mind open so wide that it could say out loud, I was wrong about everything.
Mhm.
Because that, like, the further I get in this program, the more I'm like, I was wrong about everything, and not just little bits, because you hear people in the program say, "Oh, you just need to change one thing, everything," and in my case, it's right. And I want to be frank here. Like I've had some sponsees that just weren't as villainous as I was. Like some people just got trapped in substance and didn't do a whole bunch of other snaky shit. Like and they seem to have like pulled out of it like 30 fucking years faster than I did. And hats off to them. Like hats
Yeah.
off to them. But like, as long as I was there, it really I had a really maladjusted perspective by the end. Like filtering the bulk of my life through that sort of insanity was just not healthy with me. And, I also think, though, you need a whole lot of courage to take that first step.
Whole
You
lot.
know, like a whole lot, like to go from that denial, and into like seeking the truth or at least the relative truth as you could find it. It takes courage. It takes courage to step away from that old life, and it takes courage to walk through the fire of that shame and guilt that I was talking about, and just that admission, like I was wrong. I was wrong. What I did was wrong. How I treated you was wrong. That's a lot. It's a lot. And I still find myself walking through that, like I think that there's like they call it, like peeling an onion. And it's just that, man, the layers are like translucent but not transparent. So you can see that there's some rotten in the inside of that onion, but you can't tell exactly what it is until you go through that one layer. And so you also need some perseverance to get through that, and Yeah, I think I'll leave that there, but I certainly love you. That was a great question, JJ.
It was a
I
great
love you, man.
question. I would like to hear that question one more time. It was so beautiful.
What is necessary to move from denial into the truth?
Mm. Thank you for asking that profound question, JJ, and I love your answer, Milan. Thank you for being honest with the group in Singapore. We love you, eh? La.
Yeah.
So,
Estonia.
so for me to begin, like the first thing that comes in my mind is like the pain has to get loud enough.
Mm.
And that's the part I feel like a lot of people don't like at all. But that's often the truth, right? Denial will stick around until it becomes more painful to stay in that than to face reality, right? Let's just be simple here. Let's be honest. I'm talking about honesty. Let's get honest with it, right? Like denial ain't going nowhere until it becomes more painful than having to face it. Very simple. Like water runs downhill, JJ.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As long as I can still justify it, as long as I can still minimize it,
Mm-hmm.
as long as I can still function around it, I'm gonna still be in denial all day. Don't even notice I am lying. And that's not just a river in Egypt, uh, JJ. Denial. King of bullshit, you know what I mean? So eventually something cracks for me in this process, and like the consequences pile up. Relationships get all thrown out of whack. Those really important relationships that we can't see ourselves without. They get strained. And that internal dialogue we have for me, I'll keep it on me, that internal dialogue that I have becomes a constant discomfort as I think about it. And it's cool because I can't, I like my limit. I have a program, I have a higher power. I've got some things working for me where I can't live there anymore. I don't allow myself to. So I can't surround myself with the people who do, right? Because I'll end up being right in that same little mode, right? Co-signing all that bullshit, just feeding myself bullshit constantly all day. And I hit a point where like I can't convincingly tell myself that same shit anymore. With me, there becomes a point where you just can't feed yourself that or hopefully everyone hits that point. And that's when my internal not dialogue for me can change from like is it really that bad to like how much longer are you gonna keep this shit up? That's kind of how I think about it, right? Like how much longer are you gonna feed yourself this bullshit, man? Right? Like we're addicts, bro. We've got this is a mental thing we have going on here. If we don't come in here and talk about it and get honest, like we're gonna still be wacky. Shit, we're wacky clean. But like it's cool because we're all wacky clean. Like we can all like bounce off each other when we're clean, and there's no like drugs sticking around, right? There's no like drugs falling out of nobody's pocket when we're hanging out. We're not dabbing up and then an 8 ball falls out of our pocket. Like, oh shit. Like it doesn't get like we're not around any of that anymore, so it can't get sticky anymore, right? And if it does, it's like that shit's we get rid of that shit immediately. Like anything that kind of threatens our peace, any of that outside chaos that comes in, we're really protected in here, bro. Like we don't f around and find out anymore. It's not our thing. Like don't come in here with that shit. So, but to bring it home, like I got to be willing to be uncomfortable, JJ.
Mm-hmm.
That whole honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. I got to hit that last part of it. I got to be willing to be uncomfortable because truth is uncomfortable, right? Most of the time. Like not sometimes, pretty much every time at first, right? That truth and denial will keep denial distorts reality, right? And the truth will strip all that shit away, right? The truth just cuts through all the bullshit, man. That's my answer. Boom.
Man, I love it. I freaking love this adventure. I'm JJ and I'm an addict, man, and I am so grateful that I know what the problem is, that I know what the enemy is. What is necessary to move from denial into the truth? Um, Yeah, my denial is part of the enemy. I've heard so much beautiful things, and there's so much that it springs from my mind and my spirit, and it seems like the gift of taking this life for granted to the point you're willing to freaking lose it because you're powerless and unmanageable, right? And the whole effort to begin with was to have power and control. And it still sets that self-will. It's that self-will. Wake up every morning with me on my mind. It's I'm in myself. And this journey and this adventure that I've only been given an opportunity to because of this disease of addiction that wanted to remove my life, and I was in denial of that. I thought I was using tools helping me live it. So what an incredible gift to realize that when I confess the truth, right, with reluctance, right, and it's like so much pain went away. So much pain went away. See, that's the truth. And my self-centered fear, I heard, again, I need to get this. I need to understand this. I hope all of us do, but it's about me recognizing when I'm lying. So the pain relief that I've received because of taking the first step and coming to believe that there is a power, that power is truth, is me finding it. And literature says, in doctor's opinion, people like me have trouble differentiating the truth from the false, right? And I remember reading that, and I was years clean. I don't know how many, it might have been 2, it may have been 8, I don't remember. But the big book study, and I go, okay, well, they're talking about the drinking drunk, but I have trouble differentiating what's the truth today. So here, what's necessary is for me to be honest with myself. I'm in pain. Andrea, you nailed that for me, and that's why to not be afraid of the pain, because again, the pain of addiction has given me the freedom of my recovery. It's given me a relationship, right? My self-centered fear would keep me bottled up always, instead of so I need to inventory it. I need to be honest with myself, and I have to trust it's a spiritual hang up. I've every reason to believe that if I'm being honest and true, that the results are going to be fruitful. Um, and it's only in that manipulation that I'm trying to hold on and manipulate it so that it works out the way I want it to, um, is where the pain remains. And again, it's like I can't quit using. I can't quit using because I'm afraid of the consequences and cunning enemy of life. And as long as I justify and rationalize why I can't be honest with my kid, with you, if I got an issue with my brother, fucking talk about it. What am I afraid of, man? For real. Inventory myself and ask for help. Is this my problem? Is this a us problem? Help me, man. And God is there. I love you. It's so important. I, I'm I want the freedom,
How free
Yeah,
do you want to be?
right?
I
How
love
free
it.
do you want to be, remember? How true do you
Mm.
how much truth do you want to tell? How free do you want to be?
Mm,
Mm.
Okie dokie. I've got a
Love you,
question
JJ.
for you now,
mm.
Andrew. The Living
Yes.
Clean suggests that we are often the last people to see our own truth. If you looked at yourself with total love instead of judgment, what is one truth you've been hiding from yourself that you are now ready to surrender to the light?
Wow, you gotta hit me with that question, huh? That's
Bang!
my favorite book. That's my favorite book in the world. It's my favorite book in the world. Wow. We're talking about some radical self-honesty here. Without editing. Let's go no editing here, right?
You heard it here first.
So breaking through that requires a level of honesty that doesn't justify or compare it. We gotta dig deep, right? You know, um, I still have issues. I have some major control issues with certain aspects and people of my life, and these are things that I work on every day. It's through conversations with those people, and there's not a lot there. It's just it's something that I'm getting better at. Um, I'm not going to say exactly what those things are, right? But to answer your question, I think we all as addicts have control issues. It's just how we're able to work on those on a daily basis and talk about them and come to terms with them and be able to deal that shit out in a setting of our peers and things like that. But these are things I got to work on, Milan. I got to work on my control issues, especially when I'm not even available in certain aspects, right? Like, let's say I'm not living with my significant other right now because of we're just in different areas, and I like to put that on me because I haven't moved out there yet. But I can't be but so much. And I'm not saying control, but like you're in both of y'all are in significant relationships with your loved ones, your wives, your significant others, and there's some give take there, and so I have to watch myself and what I say and how I act with her when I'm not even in the same like building as her every day, and I hope that makes some sense. I'm not trying to dance around it. It's just I'm not trying to dig too deep into it. But I gotta let her, I gotta trust that she has the best interest for her and my stepson and know that she does, right. And I gotta trust her. I gotta put more trust in her. That's a thing. That's I kind of the answer to the question. I gotta be more willing to put trust in other people that I claim to love more than anything in the world. I've got to trust them enough and love them enough to let them be exactly where they're at and know that what they're doing is the right thing for everybody involved. Like I've signed up for this thing. And so now I got to put trust in that other half as if it were me, as if it was me making the decisions. And that's tough. That's so tough. Oh, it's so tough, especially when it's not happening like you want to, or there's not enough communication, so you don't really have all the information on it. So, it's tough. It's something I'm working through right now. I appreciate you asking me, and again, I don't have to beat a dead horse, bro. Like, I got control issues. I keep it, when it comes to like these meetings and stuff like that. The only time control comes in is when I absolutely have to. I promote an atmosphere of love and acceptance and all that shit. So I keep it out of the meetings. There's interpersonal relationships that I gotta watch that shit on. So I love you. Thank you for asking.
I love that. And Mr. J.J. Living clean suggests that we're often the last people to see our own truth. If you looked at yourself with total love instead of judgment, what's one truth you've been hiding from yourself that you're now ready to surrender to the light?
Milan, as I listen to the question again, man, freaking it's bullseye. It's a bullseye.
It's the
I
hand
have
of
been
God.
I have been
Boom.
going through, and it's like sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but uh major part of my life, man, is like I made a I made a I made a I made a baby with my first wife before we were married, and we didn't have that baby, right? The decision was not to have that baby, and within a year we were in that same situation, right? And and she's a wonderful woman, man, just smart as shit. And we partied together, we were using, and she got pregnant again, and she came to me. This is a major part of my freaking life, man. Uh, and she told me, she said, "I'm gonna have this child whether you like it or not."
Mm.
Right? I mean, she said that out of the pain of not having the first one, right?
Mm.
You know, her gift of choice, bro. It's fucking her business, man. And yet it's my business too, right? And I was freaked, you know. I'm not ready to be a dad. I'm not ready to be your husband, man. I mean, what the fuck,
Mm.
you know? So right there, what was my truth? That was my truth. And I denied my truth. And I made every effort to do the right thing. I went on a 2-week fucking cocaine, alcohol fucking binge, man, out of fear, out of resentment. You know, you're gonna have it whether I like it or not. You know, like that was in there, right?
Pity
But
party.
Mm-hmm.
of course, yeah, right. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
addict, you know, full blown, wide open, and came back, you know, and you know, and we got married, man, and you know, and we subsequently, and I did my best. I mean, you know, provided, but my addiction, you know, grew because the tools, my coping tools, were the alcohol and drugs, bro.
No bueno.
You know, and she cleaned up. It's like I lost my fucking partner, man. You know, it's like what the fuck, you know. And but here's the point, you know, is that it disconnected me. Like I was never connected. Like when I see, you know, men and women that say, "Hey, we're having a baby," and they're all excited. It's like I don't know what the fuck that's like, you know. So so I left, or I don't know, they left me maybe. But I left them when they were 5 and 2, right? Because my addiction, you know, sent me out the door with some sassy fucking wench, right? And because my wife was unmanageable, right? She wouldn't do the
Mm-hmm.
shit I wanted her to do, you know. It was and and I loved my kids, but you know, not in this way. So think of the guilt. I don't know what just happened. Uh,
Oh, no, it was fine.
You're good. You're good there.
no,
It
I'm
was
getting.
fine. It just like did a little hiccup, but it was
It's because
okay.
I'm getting a fucking phone call. And go away, bitch.
Still straight.
I love it when I'm so spiritual and I start cussing this motherfucker out that's calling my.
Surrender. Surrender.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, this is what's so important is that the initial guilt of not, you know, of like I'm not ready, right? And then my subsequent reactions. I'm going to run out of time here, but um, this is so on point because I'm at a place of really recognizing, like I've given to my business, I've given to my family in recovery. My kids, you know, I've been 3 hours away. I spent a lot of time in my recovery connecting with them, but the guilt. I'm recognizing like a lot of dancing around it, right? Andrew dancing around. I couldn't stand myself. As much as they love me, I still this disease part of me, and I'm in a point. 38 years later, okay, I'm recognizing this. You know, this, I think this part of the question. You know, to become. Uh, I've got grandchildren that are really victims of my disease of addiction, of denial, of guilt, of judgment. I'm the bad granddad. That's a joke. You know, they got a big, fluffy, you know, lovable grandpa that's fucking 10 minutes away. And you know, that's a role that I'm somewhat comfortable with, right? And fuck that. It's keeping me the cunning enemy of life. It's keeping me from the love. These grandkids love me. And so I'm in the midst of this right now, like seeing this for what it is and moving forward. And I love you guys. Milan, thanks for the question. And I want you to ask it one more time because I'm going to continue to ask me. What's Living Clean say?
Living clean suggests that we are often the last people to see our own truth. If you looked at yourself with total love instead of judgment, what is one truth you've been hiding from yourself that you are now ready to surrender to the light?
Yeah, yeah. To
A banger.
embrace my children, you know, and love myself and not criticize myself. I love you guys. Thank you.
I
We
love you
love you,
too.
bro.
So, if I
Oh,
looked at
man.
myself with total love instead of judgment, what is one truth I've been hiding from myself that I'm now ready to surrender to the light? You know, I had one answer, and then after JJ just said his, it totally took me down another route. You know, right from this morning, man. Before I came in here, like, you know, I'm guilty of keeping records of wrongs. Man, I want to let shit go and be living presently in the state of love with people that I love, and and there's still something blocking that, you know. And you know, I was listening to this lecture from the Course in Miracles of Marianne Williamson yesterday, and this particular one really hit home was that for our forgiveness defines us.
Hmm.
Mm.
And man, there is not a single aspect of yourself that you could outtalk Marianne Williamson on for that not being true. She went down every single route of positive or negative, and how that moment, that relationship, that type of feeling is defined by a various level of forgiveness for different aspects of our past. Our, you know, like, I mean, it's like sometimes the lack of forgiveness isn't even for the person you're laying the shit on. It's a lack of forgiveness from some sort of traumatic event. It's a lack of forgiveness for yourself, and it's just like it's so amazing. And you know, a record of wrongs is a fucking digital printout of lack of forgiveness.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
you know,
Ooh, okay.
it's
I see.
literally, it literally is, you know, it's alphabetized lack of forgiveness, whatever. But, but for myself, you know, like, I mean, this situation really happened this morning with my wife, and there I was, like, right to her thing. I had my quick response, and I'm telling you right now that I'm not saying I was in the total right, she was in the total right, but my response was in direct lack of integrity with who I want to become. I want to say that, you know, it was in direct lack of integrity with the word love or forgiveness, and I'm ashamed from that. You know, I like stuff that I believed that I had already dealt with, and there it was again. It was just like sitting in a little sneakier form. It's like I'm forgiving you until you cross this line that to me is just so far that that allows me to open up fucking hell's doors, you know. And because it's like I was saying earlier, like it's all easy to be faithful and trusting when life's fucking awesome. Oh yeah, like God loves me, I love God. And then it's like something tough comes up and you're like, I'm abandoned. You know,
Nobody loves me.
that's right. But it's also the same. It's all easy to be forgiving when someone's nice to you.
Yep.
And and it's when they're not, it's like, whoa, 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 hold on, like I got this little sheet, it's up my sleeve. I gotta dig for a second. Hold on, honey, I'm gonna pull it out. Oh,
you
look, it's all your past transgressions. Let's go here. I'm
you
ready
open up the
now.
notepad and it rolls down all the way down the street. The
Yeah.
notepad just
And
rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls. And you're like, all right, let's go.
and I just like, you know, I made
It's
some
so
amends right
funny.
away, but I know that it's not enough, and I know that there'll be something after the show that that I gotta go and talk about. I love you
I'm
guys.
I'm glad you hit on that because I was going to ask you step 10 Starsick, what did you do? But you said you had a layer of like,
I made
coming to.
amends, but
That's cool,
it
man.
eventually wasn't for what hurt her.
But
What
look, it
aspect of
all
my
happened in God's time. It's all going to happen the way it should. That situation
Yep.
went pan itself out, man.
Yeah,
Thank you
no, I
for
dove right in. I was like, in fact, I was like, Andrew would want me to make an amends, right?
well, I needed to
Like,
hear
I
it.
don't
I
know.
needed to hear it. I was gonna ask you
Yeah.
if you did not put that layer of like some kind of resolution, I was gonna ask you about that, man. I love you and I'm proud of
No,
you.
I did, but it needs more. It
That's
needs more.
beautiful. That's
It
beautiful.
needs
Thank
more
you for
follow up.
talking to us about it. La,
Mm.
love you, man. Look, for my birthday, my guy at work got me one of the, I don't know if you can see, it's one of those
Yeah.
like energy balls.
Oh, I
Like,
love
Oh
the
shit.
Tesla. Yeah.
it's like so this is like my new like little thing that's like keeps me like zen at my desk, man. Oh,
I
I
love it.
love you guys,
I love
man.
those
Love you.
things.
Shout out to my man Nelson. He's actually my boss at work, and he bought me that. But he's like, we're good friends, and gifts of recovery,
Is
man.
his
Being
last
able to
name Mandela?
Pueble, Pueble.
Okay. Nice.
Love him, man. Love that dude. All right, cool. So where are we at?
You're asking a question to JJ.
You ready, JJ? I got a good one for you.
I'm ready, bro.
Do you use honesty to connect or to control how others perceive you? Do you use honesty to connect or to control how others perceive you? Tell us about that. It doesn't have to be cut or dry either way, just whatever comes up.
No. I know. God, I use honesty to connect, and
Or to control
or to control.
how others perceive you.
Lord have mercy. I think I use honesty, and I hope for the best today. Does that mean that I don't make an effort to control? No, that would be bullshit. Because I'm not that free. But I'm freer than I used to be. Um, Honestly, I don't know why I'm reminded yesterday. I was on the road working with a young sales dude, and we stopped in Jersey Mike's, and we're in line, and there's this, rhythmic hip hop music, and I'm shucking and jiving because I fucking can't help it. I just do that. My body moves, and there's this beautiful woman, of color. I'm white. She was black, and 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 we connected. She said, I don't know. We talked about potato chips, and we talked about her diet, and we talked about oregano. She never had
Potato
oregano.
chips.
But oregano, she never had oregano. Someone said that and she was getting a sub for her friend. I don't know, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the
A
truth.
foot long.
It was no, it wasn't like that at all, man.
Just kidding. I'm messing with you, bro.
No, you're. But this is what we do, we get distracted. There was the most beautiful connection that was in truth. You know what I mean? It was devoid of. She was there getting this food for her friend, her significant, whatever, someone significant in her life, and I don't know, man. It was a truthful, honest connection. No manipulations. You know what I mean? No manipulation. No
Yeah.
foot long references. None. Is it? She was just beautiful, man. And
That's cool.
we traded, comments on aging, right? And she complimented me. She thought I was 65, and she told me she was 78. She looked 65. Most beautiful smile. What's this have to do with the question, man? I don't know. Ask me the question again. I got a fucking minute and a half.
Yes, sir. Yep. Do I use honesty to connect or to control how others perceive you?
100% to connect. 100% to connect. Because even most of my relationships are those in recovery, and I cannot afford to bullshit you, Milan, a newcomer. I just can't, So, Lord have mercy. I would say when I'm trying to control, I might be being more dishonest. Know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is such in the minority today. Control is for beginners. My oldest kid told me that years ago. Um, you know, the truth sets up. It's the precedent for the communication. I've got so many unbelievable relationships that I wouldn't want to taint, wouldn't want to fuck up by. I can't. We're talking about the pain. It's painful. Can't do it. If it's almost right, it's wrong. I just I can't, I don't want to have no interest, and and it's like, yeah, if I it's so much is foundation is just in the truth, being honest, and God, and enjoying the fruits of that. And yeah, I love you guys,
I love you, JJ. I love you so much, man.
man.
Hey, man, you keep getting honest with us, man. You're a beautiful human, man. You ready, Milan?
I am ready. That was beautiful.
How do you use honesty? Excuse me, I'm a dumbass. Do you use honesty to connect or to control how others perceive you? Do you use honesty to connect or to control how others perceive you?
Right now, a big part of what I've been doing, I'm actually just, I'm on 2 pages left in this gigantic book here for
Wow.
my two-way prayer. And,
Wow.
and for me, my whole goal with that is for connection. And you know, it was kind of last year where there was a lady, she kind of was the speaker at this one thing I was at, and you know, she really broke honesty down in that, you know, like there is no kind of true and there is no little lie. And so it's just been this journey of like trying to bring more truth into my life, you know? Like when they say practicing these principles in all our affairs, I don't think anybody jumps in and is purely honest the first day they decide to be in recovery and do all this stuff. I honestly, I think it's almost intellectually impossible to even fathom that. And maybe somebody's touched by the universe in a way that's so much more powerful than me. But it's been, you know, like being honest with myself about that I'm trying to learn honesty. Like that's a level of honesty about my honesty.
Mm-hmm.
But it's allowed me to stop hating myself for not being perfectly honest. You
Yeah,
know,
man.
it's allowing me to connect with myself in a way with forgiveness and acceptance that I never could before. Like for me, when I was growing up, it was like Catholic religion. Here's the Ten Commandments. If you do this, you're bad. That's what I was told. That's what the priests and the teachers at my school said. I was very often labeled a bad kid, you know? And what do kids do? They fucking believe adults, you know? Like, you really got to be careful with any time you label a child, and especially if they can hear it, because they're going to believe you. And that could take decades to pull out of, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but, you know, so for now, my biggest use of honesty is for me trying to connect with my higher power and the universe. Like I, you know, when I have the feelings of contentment, joy, serenity, peace, love in my life, you know, I want to sustain those feelings. And when I start practicing dishonesty, it cuts me off. It cuts me off, you know, like those four absolutes: honest, pure, unselfish, loving. Like if I'm one of those four things, not, it's, I'm disconnected. And then, you know, and then it's like I feel alone again, and I feel anxious and I feel agitated. You know, it's like the opposite of that peaceful joy, contentment, serenity, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
it's the
Yeah.
opposite. You know, like when that stuff went sideways today with my wife, I was like, whoa, I am out of my state right now. Like out of my state was the comment to myself while I was walking. And I'm like, I've got to get back there. And so, yeah, I think I kind of answered your question, but I don't kind of love you. I love you.
No, you definitely answered my question, bro. You knocked it out the park. I love you so, so much. So, hashtag LLA. Do I use honesty to connect or to control how others perceive me? It is a beautiful question, and y'all really just smashed my answer out of the park. I love you too, man. I love you too so much. You're so special to me. Um, as I think about it, before recovery and even early recovery too, I didn't just lie. Um, I was managing my image, if you will. I remember
Mm-hmm.
that was where my head was at, as I was managing my image, and like even when I told the truth, I was picking and choosing that truth that I was telling. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say carefully selected, right? Strategically timed, slightly adjusted, right? And you laugh because you know exactly what I'm talking about, Milan. So I can still look put together, right? I can still look like I got my shit together somewhat. I can still look like I have some kind of self awareness. Like it still outwardly looks like it's not that bad, JJ,
Mm-hmm.
but it is, right? So I'd find myself, and as I think about this question, like I'd find myself admitting to smaller shit so that I wouldn't have, so it would hide the bigger shit. All the meanwhile being like, man, I'm a truthful dude, man. I'm telling everybody the truth. When when the real shit's just being hidden, and I'm throwing all the little stuff out there, all the base hits, throwing all the base hits out there, right? While I got the home runs back in my backpack over here, just chucking and jiving, you know. And that's sick. That's my disease, you know. That's that addict behavior. Um, and so it's cool because like I'm definitely way more self-aware now when that shit starts happening. And like because underneath all that shit was fear. All of it came from fear, from like fear of like losing your respect for me, like fear of being judged, fear of like actually being seen for who I actually was deep down. And so instead of honesty, like using like that honest piece to like connect with other people, I used it to manage what people thought about me. That's why I used it as like a tool in my tool bag of unspirituality. Say that. I know it's not even a word. A tool bag of unspiritualness, whatever, you know. And bro, what's the problem with that, JJ? Is it'll keep me trapped. It kept me trapped for a long time, right? Still in that self-made prison that we spruce up to be this nice place to be. And meanwhile, we're living in a shithole the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like even when people were accepting me, like at that point when we're doing that, like when people are accepting you, they're not even accepting the real person. They're accepting the person that you putting out there. So that is a mind F right there. Like when you're putting out there all this shit, like you can't stay wrapped up in that book for so long, man. You can't. You'll go crazy trying to like be some person and then manage a whole side of like what you're wanting other people to think, and then they have their own lives, and then when their lives come into yours and you're trying to manage that perception, like bro, it's just easier just to pick up and I'll just go use fuck y'all. That's where my head would go. That's my default. Like screw y'all. I'm gonna go get some control in this situation somehow, some way, because I'm gonna go use. If you love me, you'll deal with me. If not, fuck you. I'm out. Sick, man. Sick. I love you guys. It was a great question. I'm gonna hit on like what it looks for me today though. Like is a constant. I have an internal check. That shit I get checked constantly in my gut. You know, like am I sharing this to be known, or am I sharing this to like to be seen in a certain way? That's a huge difference than the way I'm doing it today. So I don't like rehearse what I'm saying anymore so that like it lands a certain way because of who the audience is anymore. I used to do that. So I love you guys, man. Thank you for asking that question, LLA. You're a bad dude.
You got another question, Jay? West
You know,
Virginia?
I don't have another question.
All right, you had a banger the first one.
It's
Yeah.
all right.
Well,
Okay, so I'm going to ask Andrew. The 12 by 12 explains that honesty is not just about facts, but the feelings we were once too afraid to share. Are you willing to surrender your toughness and honestly share your heart, trusting that your vulnerability is actually a bridge to being loved completely?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's a great question. A lot of things kind of pop up. You know, I don't have to leave out the parts that make me feel too vulnerable today. You know, that's like that doesn't come across my mind anymore. I just, you know, when I feel like I have to share for one reason or another about something, like I just let it come out. I get a lot out, and I had, and I'll use her name because she comes on this podcast. Miss Brenda, I was having a conversation with Miss Brenda yesterday, and she was asking me about just because I make a lot of meetings with her. We've done a couple podcasts with her, but she's not a regular on here. Y'all hear me talk about some of the deep stuff that I go through on here, and I realized I use this podcast as a major outlet in my recovery. Like by default, I talk about more shit in this podcast with y'all in like the world than I do like sometimes in my meetings, right? I come in out here, you know, 2 hours, we get honest in here and we talk about things, and we just have to.
We go deep.
We go deep. And so that's what I was telling her, is like she wanted to know all these things about me because she doesn't know much, and I just tried to tell her that like I have certain avenues. I'm close with my sponsor. I talk to my sponsor a lot. I have a lot of good friends, my close network, those people that I give that permission to come at me when I'm going sideways, and then I listen, right? And I don't put a lot of that shit out there in the meetings. I do, but I'm more focused on the message, bringing some hope and love and some, galvanizing the people in the meetings. But it was a great question that she asked me. It was almost a way to invite me to put more of that out into the meetings, if that's something I can pray on and it feels right to me. But right now I'm good where I'm at. Like, I'm good with how I'm doing it. Right. Like, I don't need to change anything I'm doing. I just know she wanted to know more about me, and she just made reference to maybe like the meetings. I'm not getting so very deep into the meetings, which I love and respect, and needed to hear that from her yesterday. But as I thought about it, I get a lot out in these podcasts, and that's another outlet for me. And so I just want to extend my gratitude to you, Milan, for bro, like having, like, this is something that has been a beautiful avenue in my life of everything, learning, being able to come in here, build a brother and sistership. This is like our own little thing that we have going on, and it's really special. And I just wanted to thank you for creating and another outlet for me to be able to recover and maybe be part of the solution too. Not just stay clean, but maybe help somebody out, because it's very special and it's a big deal for me, man. It's a big deal. It's what gets me up in the morning. And so I don't even know how that all turned around to that. I'm getting ready to cry thinking about how much I love you.
I'm almost crying
What
too,
the
man.
fuck is going on? I'm sitting here literally at tears, like wanting to like let it out, because um you know I couldn't do this by myself, right? Like, all this stuff that we do, and like all these things that we create these avenues and these places to get together and talk about our problems, so we don't have to pick up. Or like, our disease wants us isolated with nobody, right? Just completely isolated in the cellar. Don't come near me. Don't talk to me. And we've created avenues in areas where we want to come in here and just talk about what we have going on instead of using.
Yeah,
Right? Like we're a bunch of drug addicts, a bunch of criminals have created these avenues, these Zoom meetings, this podcast. Like, we're all over the world now, just talking about our shit, like not using, not picking up, right? Giving some hope out there. Because why? Because we receive it in droves when we do this. It's so beautiful. It blows my mind as I think about it, man. And I love you too. Thank you for being part of my guys, man. Y'all are part of my close family, and I would have it no other way. I love you too so much.
Love it. That was
Yeah,
awesome, man.
Love
Okay,
you, man.
JJ, the 12 by 12 explains that honesty is not about facts, but about the feelings we were once too afraid to share. Are you willing to surrender your toughness and honestly share your heart, trusting that your vulnerability is actually a bridge to being loved completely?
Mm. Yes, Milan, it's a beautiful question, and yeah, I'm absolutely willing. It's been a process of being more willing, and this is also the answer to Andrew's question, um, about about the ability to be honest and be vulnerable. I was so overwhelmed by that interaction at Jersey Mike's, to Sub Shop, because it was so innocent, so pure, so loving, and so honest. But which again, right? That's the ability to be vulnerable. It's like, I really didn't care what anyone else was thinking. The ability to be vulnerable and be honest. I did. I thought of perhaps a question of where that started, but again, starting with the first step coming in here, and risking, and it is a process. It is a process that first, I'm reluctant to share, but the more and more I am able to, my reluctance to share about my children and my grandchildren, right? because it sounds, I don't know, it's somewhat embarrassing to me. Again, it's another judgment that I'm really appreciating the freedom of being honest and being vulnerable, because then I'm not stuck. I'm all of a sudden empowered, and we are empowered. This process, I am so grateful. I'm so grateful to know that this disease of addiction, the cunning enemy of life, it really wants to keep, as you've already said, um, um, me isolated from everything around me. The sponsorship relationships that um, I'm being approached with more and more um, today is the ability to be honest, and I think the desire. That's where the freedom is, and as I risk being honest, and as I risk you being honest, it helps me relax, be comfortable. It's like, I don't believe I'd have told that, but I hear you share something, right? But it's like, well, check it out. There's no reason not to. In fact, there's every reason to, because if it's funk, it'll go away. If it's a risk of something blossoming into something beautiful, which ultimately is what it is, being able to be vulnerable and to be honest allows God's process to create the things that really I know that I selfishly want to control and manipulate, but I don't have to, and I'm understanding that more and more. Um, so I'm 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 less afraid of being honest, and in fact, it's essential. It's just so essential. I think that's the thing I really need to say is I recognize that to the point that every communication that I have, and the more sincere and the more honest, uh, the rewards are just outrageous. Uh, and that's the gift that we have in this fellowship. If there's newcomers listening, if there's, this old fart, man, I continue to come around because it continues to blow, the walls off the box. You can't put this in a box. This life
No
is,
pun intended.
it's no pun intended. You know, no, yeah,
The
that
fart
laser.
blowing the walls off. Sorry.
No, man, just tear down the walls, motherfucker, man. That was an old song that, Jefferson Airplane used to play. Tear down the wall, up against the wall, motherfucker. It's like tear it down. There's so much for us to share, and like I've heard, you come in here and say I'm an addict. It's like fucking game over, bitch.
Yeah, I know it. We know.
We know you from top to bottom,
Sit down. Sit down. Shut up. We know.
and yeah, and reveal it, get clean,
Stop being so emotional.
and let the new shit occupy your space, man, because it won't hurt. It will feel amazing, and you'll help somebody else that needs to watch the process work. Don't be afraid, man. Just keep coming in. And this
Mm,
love is for freaking real,
mm,
Like there's not a bottle or a bag gonna dry up and the love gone. No, that ain't it. Pick
mm,
the fucking phone up, take
no.
another breath. Take another breath. This is
Mm,
a beautiful, I feel, I say I have a podcast to do tomorrow, and people go, "Oh, you're going to the movies. You're in Hollywood." It's like, no, no, motherfucker, I'm going to fucking connect with these dudes and get taken to a place that you-
haters.
that I can't. Well, they just don't understand,
They don't get it.
Mm.
and it's okay. It's like just check it out. It's like recovery. Like I don't understand being clean. Well, just try it and you'll fucking like it and you'll feel it. And now y'all
Mm,
keep coming back. Don't use and learn how this works. Be an open, honest, vulnerable, and loving. Thank you, guys. I love you, man. I
got,
appreciate everything I learned. Time's
got
up.
people in Singapore
Love you.
listening in. What do you
Woo.
mean? Man, we're giving out some hope.
Ah,
Hope dealers, man.
That's
that was
right.
awesome.
That was awesome.
Okay, am I willing to share or surrender my toughness and honestly share my heart, trusting that my vulnerability is actually a bridge to being loved completely? And it's work in progress, man. Like, uh, I I feel that I'm pretty honest in my shares, but it's almost like that lies by omission, though. Sometimes it's just like, oh, they're not going to want to hear that. Like I'm filtering for
Mm.
sure. They're not going to want to hear that, or and it's never a share. It's never sharing that I think was a great share. That somebody's like, man, I really connected with that. Like that's not when I receive any feedback about that, and
Yeah.
you know it's a big part of it is shedding that shame and having some acceptance for myself. And when I have that acceptance for myself, then I think I will be caught by that love, and that safety net of love, it will be there. And that's part of what that vulnerability is about. And I'll be honest, a lot of times I'll be at a meeting, and people are like, okay, nobody wants to share first. I don't know if you guys get that, but I get in a lot of
Yeah.
small meetings.
Yeah,
I get in
man.
a lot of small meetings, and nobody wants to share first. So I'm like, what the fuck? I'll break the ice. I'll get up.
Yeah.
I'll pull my pants down. Give me some patty wax.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
it's like somebody has to break the ice.
Sets the tone.
Somebody has to be vulnerable, you know?
Mhm.
And so for myself, I like to set a tone of love. I
Me
like to
too.
set a tone of vulnerability. I like to set a tone of surrender. I like to talk about how I'm struggling with forgiveness, you know? Because because then you will too. And then maybe
Mhm.
we can,
Boom.
feel, then we can feel connected. And then we can feel like we're not alone. And then we might even learn something
It's
from
the
each
money
other.
shot.
Yeah, you know? And um and I think that's what I got on that one. But I really love you guys
You
a
did
lot.
just drop the mic on my foot. That's it, right directly on my foot. You dropped it.
No, it was
That
on
shit
your
hurt.
it's on the wise toe. I was
Ow.
looking for some big toe action.
Pause the podcast. Pause the podcast. All right, cool. I'm gonna ask you, JJ. You ready?
I'm ready, bro.
Am I willing to be on? This is a good one. Am I willing to be honest, even when no one else would know the difference? Am I willing to be honest, even when no one else would know the difference? Mm.
Yeah, 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 yeah. More and more. I'm changing. I'm an addict, man.
Hmm.
And my life is contingent on being willing. Yeah, it's funny, how that used to be an MO, Does anybody go to know if this is the
Hmm.
truth or not, right? Right.
That's where we did all our work.
No, man, and it's amazing. It's amazing the freedom and really the embarrassment when I realized, well, wait a minute, because then that was an epiphanal moment. Is that a real word? And it happened, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, maybe 15 years ago. Because honestly, like, so for 15 years in my recovery, I would go on sales calls, and I've shared this before, right? And I would come back reporting that, I did 12,
Had
and
all these leads, got sit out there. We'll call them
well, no,
tomorrow.
if this was so fucking simple, is it would just be because I'm the boss. Someone's questioning me. They're going to fucking, what I'm saying. But my judgment up here, man.
Spinning
And so
tires.
this is, this exact situation where nobody knows and nobody fucking cared. But I would say I would puff it up by three
It
or
would be the big
four
cheese. It would
or
be the
two.
big cheese.
It would be so stupid, But this is an addict,
Ego.
doing that, well, it was all about what I thought of myself, and it still is. And if I'm willing to, that's what what I've learned today, this, and I want Milan to text me later more about the phrase from Williamson, but the self-forgiveness, the more that I forgive myself and allow me to be who I am, not who I used to be or who I thought I was, right? Because I think I'm a certain thing and it's not fucking true. It's like they fucking love me, man. They don't judge me like I judge me. Like I'm judging me to tell you I did, 15 sales calls when I only did 12, and you don't give a fuck. you know, and
Eight would have been great.
yeah,
Eight would have been
exactly, exactly, right.
eight would have
and
been beautiful.
and really that one that kept us busy for 3 months, but at any rate, when I heard myself say that and realized, well, they didn't know the difference, and this is all about you, it was embarrassing, and it was freeing, you know and that's been an example that I've had to pull out for myself. So I really uh, no, I avoid that situation. I mean, the truth is so powerful, and I really check myself. You've heard me say this because I heard it from a long time or years ago. If it's almost right, it's wrong. So this little white lie, as my mama told me, it's just a white lie, just a white. Tell the neighbor this, and I've come. That is such a ripoff because when I search out the truth, and truly, like because we're addicts, and it's like, well, how can I? When I keep operating on the pursuit of what is true about this situation, when I finally get to pursuing that as my response, the power is major. And if and if it's because I've had to be vulnerable, I've surrendered my control. And I wish I could give you more of an example, but if I hope that's enough, is
Mm-hmm.
pursuing the truth of the situation enough to just lay it out. And it's okay. I don't have to make an excuse as to why I don't want you to come to Ocean City convention and stay in the room with me. Right.
It
Uh,
lightens up the mental. Light up,
no,
lighten it up.
there's a challenge every day. Thanks for the question. I love you so
You know what that
much.
makes me think of is God is the truth. God is the truth, which is love, which is God is the truth is love. It's this circular of like if you can stay in that circular of no bullshit of just like God is the truth, which is love, which is God, like you'll be all right, man. It's
It'll
one of
be
the
a it'll be a phoenix flying around your head.
Ooh, it'll be a penis flying around if you can get the technology. Yo. I see you came down to our level today, Milan. You backed up.
Well, it was getting distracting,
It
to be
was.
honest.
I was having to not look at it. I'm glad you pointed that out because I had
But
to
I'll
not look
do it
at it.
again for the next
No,
minute
don't
here.
do it.
Just
No, I can't. I'm frozen. I'm frozen. I'm frozen. I can't talk.
I was like, I couldn't stop looking at it.
It freezes me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Where are we at? Am I asking you?
Yes,
Yeah.
Milan.
Milan, are you willing to be honest even when no one else would know the difference?
Woo. Yeah. You know,
Spicy.
I'm willing to try. That's for damn sure. Like I know that there is no kind honest or whatever, but there's times where I'm telling on myself now intentionally to bring that out of me because it's not working. It's not working when it's not, right? And but um it's one of those things where it's like step six, man. We're entirely ready. Like I have to, on a moment to moment basis, be ready to handle that fire. And sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not, like I just had a week where my wife was gone away for 8 days. And in that 8 days, I learned, well, what I learned once she came home is that I sleep like shit when she's not there. And I didn't actually know that until this trip. And so one of our dogs was sick and had, oh shit, I'll put this on.
I
One
was
of our
gonna put it.
dogs, yeah, one of our dogs wasn't doing well, and I was exhausted, man, and like I just feel like um, I was way more awesome when I was rested, like in every capacity, and honesty being one of them. Like I feel that I feel all round stronger when I'm rested, well fed, exercised, got in my program, like, and I can see that for myself, my state of being and my state of morals is a fluctuatable thing. That I'd like to say I was perfect all the time, but I can definitely see now because I'm actually looking when I'm not or when I am. And yeah, I'm going to leave that there, but I love you.
Love you more. Can you change your background?
Yeah, I'm going to change it right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
driving me crazy. I love you so much. I love you so much.
And I'm going to make a really intense one so it just almost makes you car sick.
That's cool. Just we'll do it next time. So do I what is my question here? I had it. I lost it. Yeah, so am I willing to be honest even when no one would know the difference? That's a great question. I thought y'all gave some great answers. I love you two so much. What this does, this is a cool one. As I think about it, this question cuts through and goes right to the integrity piece, guys. This goes right to integrity because it removes the audience, right? No recognition, no consequences. No one to call me out. Just me and the mother effing truth. And what that really asks me of me when I think about it is it's easy to be honest when it's when it's expected, when it's something that's expected, or someone might find out. It's easy to tell the truth, right? Because someone's gonna find out. Like, just do it. You just tell the truth, right? But if somebody's not gonna find out, it's easy to second guess that, and then it can get real tricky. It's real easy to tell the truth when my reputation's on the line, right? Like we got to think about it in terms of like that. We need to use honesty just like we do in those situations, in other situations. But the question asked me is who am I when there's zero external pressure on me to do the right thing right now? What kind of dude am I? What kind of person am I? And just because you think nobody's looking or think, that doesn't mean that nobody is looking or is going to find out and all that shit. Because a lot of times people end up finding out, especially when you do the wrong thing. Especially when you do the wrong thing. So let's go, right? Let's go on who do you want to be? Like, how free do you want to be? Who do you want to be as a man tomorrow and today? You know what I mean? Who do you want to be known as? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? Like, when people think about your name, do you want to be talked at as like full of shit, right? Or do you want like a joke? Or do you want to be known as somebody who might have got nasty from time to time, but the dude stood on his standards and he didn't take no shit, and he stayed clean and he helped people, he loved people, and so that's where honesty stops becoming a situational commodity for me, and it becomes an internal thing. It's an internal process for me. Like I feel bad when I'm dishonest, when I do the wrong thing. I feel my insides feel like shit. Like, I feel bad, but I'm so grateful and blessed to have that. I didn't have that before. I just would savagely act, in my survival mode. Like, I was just surviving. And so I've got this internal pull on me that tells me don't, you can't do that. You're going to hurt somebody. This is going to affect your job. This is going to affect your family. And that's God, that's my, I'm connected. I'm connected. When I do something and I feel bad, or I'm getting ready to do something and I get zapped down with that, that's my conscious contact to the God. I know I'm being present in the moment right there when he's helping me. He helps me make these decisions. I do a lot of praying. I pray a lot because it helps. It helps me. It makes sense to me. Just like these meetings make sense to me. I'm not going to stop doing what makes sense to me. And all this is all honest acts. These are all honest things. These are all honest. I honestly do not want to use anymore. So I've come to meetings, right? I honestly never want to see a drug ever again in my life, right? I honestly know that if I pick up a beer and take a sip of beer, it's like taking a loaded gun to my head. I know these things, and I don't want to do those things anymore. So part of that is staying honest with everybody, all involved. Because if I do any kind of layer of honesty outwardly, there is a layer of self dishonesty. Even if I'm just lying to one person in my life about one thing, I'm lying to myself. So that's not good. No bueno. I'm done.
I love you guys. So we'll wrap it up there. We're pretty much almost at 1:45, and I got to head into work. But This has honestly been a good time with you boys. And
I honestly
so
love y'all.
so our next one will be sponsorship. JJ was wishing me to stuck with sponsorship, and
Let's do
I
it.
screwed up. We were supposed to, our one with Brandy was supposed to be the importance of service. And I thought I read it incorrectly when I looked at the list. And
You
anyway, I was
usually
like,
do,
oh,
Milan.
I do. I'm that
I'm
kind of
just
guy.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm like a skimmer. But anyway, I love
Yeah.
you guys. And
No
Love you more.
accidents. No,
Love you
no
more, man.
accidents.
Love you
No
more.
accidents, bro. We were supposed to
Nothing's
be here
wasted in
today.
God's economy,
Not a
bro.
bit. This was beautiful. I appreciate so much where we've been taken today. Thank you,
yeah.
Milan. Thank you,
Keep
Andrew. Love you,
coming back,
brother.
La. Let's go,
Tune
Singapore.
in next episode for more recovery
see you.
fun. Singapore,
We see
Estonia,
you.
Ghana. We
We
love
see
you.
you. Ghana,
Please
bro.
help us.
Help
We're
others.
everywhere. If
Estonia.
you like what you've
Hey,
seen here
love you,
today,
JJ.
please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.